Re-
All right, we are good to go.
All right, we'll call over to the town board meeting at the Town of Lisbon Town Hall on Monday, December 13th, 2021 at 6:31 PM. Roll call, please.
Chairman Osterman,
Here.
Supervisor Moonen,
Here.
Supervisor Beal. Here. Supervisor Braun,
Here.
Supervisor Flotecker. Here. Treasurer Seifert. Here. Administrator Nicholas.
Here.
And Clerk Capasso to record the minutes. We also have Planner Holloway on Zoom.
All right, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3 is comments from citizens present. Is there anyone that wishes to speak either on Zoom or in the audience?
No hands raised on Zoom.
All right, thank you. Item 4 is consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered in one motion unless a town board member requested an item be removed from the consent agenda. We had the November 22nd, 2021 town board minutes. Final pay request for TID number 1 site development to Wander Construction in the amount of $35,974.13. The 2022 police services contract with Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. Line of credit reduction in the amount of $437,564.75 for Twin Pines Farm 3 for a balance of $329,070.45. Appointment of election inspectors for the 2022-2023 term and resolution 2021-17 regarding election reporting units.
I'll request for C to be removed.
See? All right. Any other ones anyone wants to talk about or have removed from the consent agenda? All right, we will be voting on A, B, D, E, and F. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I make a motion, we approve A, B, D, E, and F.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mark. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, then we have the 2022 Police Services contract with Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that one?
I'll abstain from voting just beforehand.
All right. I would move that we approve the 2022 Police Services contract with Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Becky. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Mark Moonen abstaining. Right, item 5, accounts payable, authorizing the payment of the Falls Auto Parts bill in the amount of $279.15. Is there a motion on that check register?
Make a motion, we authorize the payment of the fall auto parts bill in the amount of $279.15.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Doug Brown. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Authorized and second, we have authorizing the payment of the remaining bills in the amount of $230,386.08.
So our top five, our largest 5 expenses were waste management, $67,925.15. Road and rural insurance at $38,040. Wander construction for $35,474.13. Premier building inspection for $25,000. $17,240.88.
Any comments or questions on the check register? Is there a motion on the check register?
I'll make a motion to approve bills authorizing $230,386.08.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Doug Brown. Any discussion on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And we have authorizing the payment of an additional check run in the amount of $2,768.15.
We did a small check run because Bunzel's needed a check for the Christmas party, and we didn't have that approved ahead of time. We didn't have the numbers. Also, I put in the CSM to the village of Menominee Falls and they required $1,000 payment to do that. So those are the two checks. We ask for your approval.
I'm sorry, what is Menominee Falls for again?
It's our extraterritorial review for the property at Business Park East.
Okay,
Any other questions? Is there a motion on the second check run?
I'll make a motion to approve the additional check run in the amount of $2,768.15.
Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Linda. Any final discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 6, announcements and correspondence. We have a sanitary sewer district number 1 commission meeting on Wednesday, the 15th at 6:30 at the town hall. We have a Parks Committee meeting on the 20th at 6:30 at the Richard Young Fire Station. And then in January, we have a joint public hearings and plan commission meeting on Thursday, the 6th at 6:30 PM at the Richard Young Fire Station. And then joint public hearing and town board meeting on the 10th at 6:30 PM, also at the Richard Young Fire Station. So the next board meeting will be at the Richard Young Fire Station. So everybody knows.
Mhm.
All right, does anyone else have any other announcements or correspondence to note? All right, item 7, administrator report.
All right, in front of you, you have a non-compliance, updated non-compliance list. Since this is our only meeting, I have went through all of the open items with Brian to see if there were any that were in compliance. We did update that. I did want to tell you that the Sharpley's court has been moved to January 8th. We finally got Christine Cole to respond to numerous requests to get an application for the business that's being run out of her property. And so she made contact today after a call to the county. And then the Spence property, we're still waiting for Gerald to be released. But Brian was over there and it looks like somebody's looking to make the repairs on the roof. So, and then we had the next one that's still outstanding is the property on Pewaukee Road that you gave an extension to the 21st and then of next month. And then the one on Fairview Lane is in their first 30 days. So that's the update on the non-compliance. We did, if you remember, you approved gas and electric utility costs for Richard Road. The gas piping costs less, so we got a credit of $12,730 returned to us today. We're working on the closing for Pollock Trucking. That's going to be on Wednesday. We're in the I'm working on preparing the deed for Jim Forrester on the 6.76 acres or 72 acres in the business park east. We have 10 participants in the Parade of Homes for next year. And the person that's putting that on is looking to help promote Lisbon in the process. So he's willing to work with us. I am in the process of finalizing the tax bills.
When will they be finalized then, Kathy?
Hopefully tomorrow. They printed our inserts wrong. So now it's got to be rerun again.
So when will they be sent out?
So hopefully they'll allow me to, I've reviewed all of the tax bills and all of the specials, but right now we just want to make sure that the tax bill and all the inserts are being properly printed. So they're
Okay.
going to go ahead and give me a copy of that tomorrow.
Okay,
And then as soon as I sign off, they'll print.
Okay.
And so I would think they'd be in the mail by Wednesday or Thursday.
okay.
They're
And can
not due out until the 21st of December.
okay. Can I ask, why are you doing a deed for Forrester? Why are you writing that?
We still have, well, I'm not writing it.
Oh, I thought you said you were writing.
No,
Wait
I'm
a minute.
working on it. I'm working on getting everything prepared for it.
Okay, okay.
So, No, I would not write a deed.
I was gonna say,
There's professionals to do that.
yeah.
You have any other questions?
I have a question. I
Yeah.
don't know if this is the right place for it, but on Richard Road with these, where the utilities are, the fire hydrant is tagged out of service right across from Whitcomb. I was just wondering why.
I'll look into it.
Yeah, it just says not for fire department use and it's tagged out on the steamer connection and maybe it's just, they never took it off of there because the other hydrants aren't tagged.
Okay, I'll check into it.
I have a question. I would like to know where we are on hiring someone to replace Natasha.
We actually have a meeting set up, Natasha, Joan and myself for tomorrow morning to go through that, what we want to put on there.
Do you know what the timeline is gonna be for that?
Well, I'm hoping to get it out January. Get out something, get out an ad in January and it depends on how quickly we get anybody that's
I'll get it out
qualified.
as soon as possible, because there is nobody.
That's
I don't
what-
think you're gonna find anybody.
Well,
I hope so, but
Yeah. We hope so too. Yes, we're gonna try to get that going as soon as possible. We're having our first meeting, set up our transition and set up what we want to, when we want to start interviewing. Because there's so much that goes on in January, it's so difficult to make the decision on what Joan needs to do and then what Natasha needs to do. If I'm trying to interview, I'd like them in on the interview, obviously, so I need to get that all coordinated. That's what our meeting tomorrow is.
Okay.
Great, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Kathy. Treasury report, Joan.
I don't have much to report on interest. It's kind of the same, but it is going up by 3 basis points in the LGIP. But I do have, we're doing pretty good at Waukesha State because we have 0.2, but we are looking at, there is going to be a new item, but American Deposit Management. We talked to a young man and because it's kind of like a trust, just like Town Bank is. It's Wind Trust Bank, so it's a collection of banks. This is an even bigger collection, but I'm waiting on references from him and I want to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow, but he's said he's offering as much as 0.15. So it is a big jump from 0.05, but it's not a lot of money anyway, but I do have a few million I can put in there from Town Bank, so that's what I'm looking to do. The revenues and expenditures, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. If anybody has any questions, I can answer that.
I have a question.
Okay.
Why are we short $97,000 in our general property taxes?
It's actually 93, and because some of it went into other funds. I know I have, some of it is personal property tax. That's not very much though. I can look into it further for you.
And if you can let us all know when you let her
Sure.
know.
Oh, sure. Anytime, it will, just so you know, anytime anybody asks a question, I send it to you all.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Oh, wait, I have one other. I can send it to you when I think.
Okay, 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 no problem. So that's all I have. Anything else?
All right, thank you, Joan.
You stay for the other item.
Item 9, supervisor reports. Does anyone have anything to report?
Next month.
Item 10, plan commission recommendations. A, discussion and necessary action on the request by Richard Swanson for approval of a 2-lot certified survey map for the property located at North 94 West 23611 Hermitage Drive, tax key LSPT 0150.020.002. This was denied at our 12-2 plan commission. So this still comes to the board even if they deny it?
It does because the plan commission is a recommending body. However, the morning after the plan commission meeting, I received an email from Mr. Swanson asking to withdraw his CSM. I did consult with Attorney Macy and he said that when the matter comes to town board, the town board can acknowledge that the CSM request has been withdrawn and take no action.
So we do not, isn't this one that was on a timeline though?
But as soon as he withdrew, it took us off the timeline.
So that's,
So
we
we're
don't,
done. We don't have to worry about a timeline.
okay. So even didn't, I mean, is it change, if we denied it, does it change anything or is it just?
It
it's off?
doesn't, he
It's-
still has to reapply and repay the fees.
Right, but we're perfectly fine just
Yes.
acknowledging it, moving
Correct.
on. Everybody good with that?
Mhm.
Everybody acknowledge it?
Yes.
Everybody's acknowledged.
And that'll be in the minutes.
Item B, discussion and necessary action on the request by applicant Tony Zanon of Pinnacle Engineering for the preliminary plat approval for the parcel located at North 48 West 27368 Lindale Road, tax scale SPT 0268.999, known as Pheasant View Meadows. This was a-
Rachel? All right. Rachel, you good?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like me to say anything about this one, or how do you prefer to do this at the board?
On it.
I have some. I noticed in both of these, they're talking about the cul-de-sacs getting some kind of a variance. They're too long or what's the variance for the cul-de-sacs?
Yeah, so the maximum for your ordinance, your subdivision ordinance in chapter 12 is 500 feet. And so it is fairly common for subdivision plats. It's true for this one to propose a longer cul-de-sac. So technically that needs a waiver from your ordinance to approve it.
So they're making it longer than what we require.
Correct. Longer than the maximum your code allows.
You want it.
Right.
It has to be that way?
Well, if you look at this subdivision,
Mhm.
how this subdivision is set up,
Right.
I think there's some subdivisions you could genuinely argue that, yeah, they're doing that just because it's probably cheaper, but I don't see any other way this could even be done.
But it's
Yeah,
still,
this is driven by terrain and a very unique site.
it still has the turning radius
Yeah.
that's needed. The 60-foot radius is still.
That's right. And at the Plan Commission meeting on December 2nd, the developer, Mr. Carrick, said that he would be modifying the bulb width. So on page 2 of the staff report, when I note the cul-de-sac bulb width would need a waiver, that is no longer correct because he indicated he would be changing that to meet code.
The topography of the land definitely poses some challenges for them. I know that.
Mhm.
The other
And so,
question,
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Where it talks about house numbers and addresses, it's just blanked out like that's not a checkoff list or that's not something that the subdivision covenants have any kind of rules that we have for, because we have an ordinance about addressing. But
They have
it's,
to follow our ordinance.
okay, so each individual house does after they're built. There's nothing in the subdivision covenant that makes them have a standard or do anything.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I know they get assigned a number. That's typically handled, I believe, by your town engineer later in the process as the plat gets finalized and recorded.
That's correct.
Any others?
Well, also I was at one of the planning commission meetings and people were asking about the turning lanes that if the county was gonna put them on Lindale, are they gonna do that or?
I believe it was stated they were, but Mike might, if you want to step up, Mike. If you would, please.
Mike Carrick, I'm the developer of both the Pheasant Meadows and the Bark River Reserve. And the county, I believe, is going to make us put those on.
They're gonna make you do that on that
I
road.
believe so. So we're going to follow the county regulations. It's county road. As far as the addresses go, normally the city or town assigns them to us when the plat's recorded. And the only one, sometimes it's the corner lots, so sometimes you have to change it, but normally they make it wherever the driveway is coming into.
Anything else from anyone?
Yeah, can we just go over the 4 points? I mean, I know we already kind of covered one of them, but there were some other ones I think we should definitely highlight that was put in the staff report. I'm referencing page 2 at the top.
Yeah, so what I could do is just mention how a plan commission approved this or recommended it, excuse me. For number 1, I had highlighted as a discussion for the town, a decision-making point, whether parkland would be required to be dedicated versus having a private facility, which is what the private facility is what Mr. Carrick proposes within one of his outlots. And the plan commission in their recommendation indicated that they were fine with that, with it being private. The second one, whether building setbacks should be shown on specific lots. That is recommended later in the staff report for some of these lots based on the unique slopes and terrain there. The plan commission accepted that recommendation from staff. Number 3, the waivers for certain requirements in your subdivision code for roads that, again, the cul-de-sac length, they did recommend that. Bulb width would no longer be applicable based on Mr. Carrick's indications on the earlier meeting. And the Boulevard Island dimensions would need a waiver from ordinance as well, because the ordinance has a specific size required there. So if you're supportive of that, the Plan Commission did recommend that as well. And number 4, whether to require trails in the development, that's because that is currently required for all subdivisions in your ordinance. But Plan Commission recommended this be approved without requiring trails.
So you're not requiring trails at all?
We're not,
We're not, no,
there's nowhere to hook up to.
okay. Okay. That's why, okay.
Any other questions? Did that answer?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I had a question along the lines of what Linda did too, in the sense that are we requiring other developments under the current ordinance to have trails? And I guess what is the commission's recommendation either way? Is it dependent on where the subdivision is, or? I know
So
it's not by ordinance.
Barnwood, we required trails to be put in there, especially at the PUD, because there was the Merton Trail it can hook up to. Thousand Oaks and whatever addition you want to look at never had any there, but there was, because of where the trail was with Merton, we had required that. We did also in a couple other subdivisions, we required them. But like this one where it was small and the topography of the land, topography was quite intense and there was nowhere it was going to go. We did not ask for it here. It's kind of a case by case basis with the planning commission when it's looked at.
Yes, I've seen it in your plan developments, like Joe mentioned. This one is traditional zoning, straight R2.
And then I noticed on the CSM, or sorry, the preliminary plat, that South Willow Creek Drive is a gravel section outside the subdivision. Are we going to pave that through
Yes,
for the old subdivision?
that's, I think that's a leftover thing from Lindale Farms from 1970 or something.
That's the old racetrack right there.
We will hook that up.
You guys are going to? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Is there a motion on this item?
I'd make a motion to approve the Pinnacle Engineering preliminary plat approved for the parcel located at 48 W 27368 Lindale Road, LSBT 0268.999, known as Pheasant View Meadows, as presented and with the recommendations from the staff report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Good, Doug. All right, any final discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item C, discussion, necessary action on the request by applicant Tony Zanon, Pinnacle Engineering for the preliminary plat approval for the parcel located at North 95 West 23759 County Line Road, LSBT 0150.997, known as Bark River Preserve. Mike got a lot of action at the Plan Commission. All right, any questions or comments right off the bat on this one? There also is no trails in this development, I believe. No. And it is, this is the one, I don't know if anyone remembers a while back, there was another developer that had come through and tried to present one, and then Mike came in and worked with the landowners to the east.
Presidential estates, I believe it's called.
Mhm.
And came
That
up with
helped.
something, and we had zero I don't think we had any opposition at all to this
Not on that
afterwards.
one, no.
So thank you for working with them on that.
Mhm.
Any comments or questions on this one? Is there a motion on this item?
The request by applicant, Pinnacle Engineering for the preliminary plat approval for the parcel located at North 95 West 23759 County Line Road, LSBT 0150.997, known as Bark River Preserve.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right, any final discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item B, discussion and necessary action on the request by joint owners Mike Carrick and Anthony and Sarah Valoria for approval of a certified survey map to combine a 1.1288 acre portion of the parcel located along County Highway Q identified as LSBT 0150.997 and the entirety of the property located at North 95 West 23853 County Highway Q and identified as LSBT 0150.996. Anybody have any questions or comments on this one? Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion that we request by joint owners Mike
Carrick.
Eric, Sarah Valoria for approval of a certified survey map to combine the 1.188 acre portion of the parcel located along County Q and identified as LSBT 0150.997 with the entirety of the property located at 195 West 22853 County Q and identified as LSBT 0150.996.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, Linda. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Item E, discussion and necessary action regarding approval of a two-lot certified survey map for a 5.903 acre portion of the undeveloped town-owned parcel located along County Highway F, known as LSBT 0241.999.004. This is in our business park.
Correct. This is the two lots, two commercial lots in our business park east. We have two people that are, or two businesses that are interested. We should see offers in the next month from both of them. And we moved at the Plan Commission, we moved this forward. That's why I moved it to for extraterritorial review. This is the CSM that's going for extraterritorial review at the Village of Menominee Falls. That's for your approval.
Any comments or questions? Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make-
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve a 2-lot certified survey map for 5.093 acre portion of the undeveloped town lands. Parcel located along County Highway F, known as LSBT 0241.999.004.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Doug. Any final discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Rachel.
I'll head out. Good night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11, new business. A, discussion and necessary action regarding opening an account with American Deposit Management Company.
So That's right. So Joan spoke a little bit about this deposit management company, and one of our thoughts was when we're opening an account, that she still needs to get permission from the board to open an account. She's still doing some research on it, but I'm not sure exactly what you'd like to see before approval.
Where are they located?
Brookfield,
Pewaukee,
Pewaukee.
actually.
sorry,
Springdale
Pewaukee.
Road. They're local and they're, they've been in business.
Joan,
since
Do you mind coming up?
2009.
We're on Zoom, otherwise we might not be able to hear you.
They're local and they've been in business since 2009. They're located on Springdale Road, but I was looking with him, he said the city of Brookfield does business with him, the city of Wauwatosa.
Who's him?
This Carl Haiti was the representative that came and talked to us. And he's the director of real estate and institutional sales, but anyway, so they're located locally and they've done business with Wauwatosa Brookfield. I was asking him for some references for somebody more like our size. So he gave me two that I never heard of in Wisconsin. I have no idea where they even are. So I asked him, could you give me something in Waukesha County? And then he came back and wanted a meeting with me tomorrow. But that's all I know about it.
So they were, the business started, because I was in the meeting. So their business started with a class action suit. And during this big class action suit, the judge required them to bring all this money in, but it had to be FDIC insured. So, which means you only can put, at that point, it was 150,000 in a bank. And so they needed to get like 30 banks together in order to do this because of the settlement. And that's where it started. And they've been working in the municipal government, trying to help with bonds. There are some positives to working with them, as we can get our money in 24 hours, whereas the LGIP, it takes us 48 hours to get our money when we request it. If we need to pull it faster for some reason, we can still get it out faster because of their large conglomerate without a penalty. I'm trying to think of what else he spoke.
Yeah,
about.
it's similar to what we have now with Wintrust owns Town Bank. Town Bank is part of Wintrust and they have a conglomerate of, I think he said like 12 banks, but they can insure it up to 3 million. And I asked him how much they could insure because they have many more banks. And he said up to 60 million. I said, yeah, I don't have that much.
Is any of this in writing, Joan?
No, we haven't gotten that far yet because I was still waiting to hear from him that if he had some other people I could call and see how they liked it and everything other than Brookfield and Wauwatosa. Those are the only two.
So what would you like Joan to bring back to you before we open a depository account?
How much it charges, what the charges are.
What kind of history do they have? Do they have
He-
any history, you know, as far as lawsuits or anything? I
He
mean,
did
it's
say
a-
that they they don't charge us a fee. What they do is they negotiate a rate. And then the rate they tell us is the rate they get, but what, the rate they're earning from the banks is a little bit higher. They take it off the top.
So if we get
0.15.
1.5 or 0.15,
0.15.
they might be getting 0.17
Yeah,
and they take it off the top. So there's no additional charges or fees,
right.
but we can get that in writing as well.
Mhm.
Anything else you'd like her to do some?
I'm sorry, can I just verification? You said if we get 0.15 and they might get 0.17?
They might be actually getting 1.7,
Oh,
0.17.
0.17,
Okay.
and they're offering us
Oh,
to,
then I
So
misunderstood
they
how you
take their
said
cut
that.
off the top.
Top,
That's
yes.
what it is.
I got
Is
it.
they get a higher rate. They take their portion to earn money and then but they give us the promised rate.
Right.
but so so we're looking at, she showed you in her report, Town Bank is giving us 0.05. And if we can get 0.15, that's,
And Town Bank won't even negotiate with me. In fact, they said they go by the LGIP. Well, in October, the LGIP went up to 0.08 and Town Bank is still at 0.05. So I found Town Bank a little bit hard to work with. And so that's why I was interested in this.
Mhm.
And if I can get 0.15, like I said, that's not a lot, but if you're talking about, we have 1.8 million in Town Bank and I don't wanna take that out of there. I don't wanna have all my eggs in one basket. And Waukesha State gave me 0.2 collateralized, so I might even take some, I would start them out with the stuff in Town Bank and see where we go from there. We have a couple of CDs that we're getting 0.2 also. Waukesha State Bank said they'd match it, so. But I really cashed in most of I have a little bit in the LGIP. Well, actually, I have 1.7 million now because we got some big payments in, but and that's diversifying it a little bit more, but if we can get 0.15, that's better than 0.05. Yes.
I guess one thing I'd want to look at is how they performed when the market was good in comparison, if there's a way we can find that out.
Mhm.
Because right now the market sucks, we all know that, but
Yeah,
it will turn around at some point, we hope.
Mhm.
And how their performance was then, because if we're getting something good now, but then later on, they underperform compared to other banks, I'd be
Oh,
interested,
mhm.
and how long we have to keep it in there.
I don't even
versus-
think there's a limit.
Okay. Because then it might not matter then.
Yeah, I've been holding off on, that's what I was gonna say, I've been holding off on any CDs because the CD rates are just terrible. And I don't wanna put money in a CD that might be a year long and then meanwhile interest rates go up and I'm stuck at a lower rate.
Okay.
My concern is that, do they meet the state requirements for a public depository?
Yes, they do. He told us that. I mean, we get that in writing, but he did tell us that. Yeah, well, we will. But if we do any business with them, we'll get a contract. We'll get that all in writing, but he did say that they did conform to all the state.
Is that their only office in Brookfield? And how many people work for them? Just curious.
I don't know.
Are they a real small company?
For some reason, I'm thinking you said there were 35 people working in that office.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're right. He did say that, I think. But as for any other office, I don't know. They do business in Texas and Arizona. That was the other places. Wisconsin, the only states they're currently in are Wisconsin, Texas, and Arizona. So I was thinking that he might be it might be, have been started by a snowbird who, lived in Wisconsin, wintered in, or, in Arizona or Texas.
She can bring back all the details that you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or she can ask Carl to come and do his talk to you, just like he did to the two of us, the three of us, Natasha,
Mhm.
Joan, and myself.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just in the investigation stage at this point.
All right, thank you.
No action required at this time.
Thank you. Item B is discussion and necessary action regarding the status of American Tower Corp's conditional use permit.
So at the Plan Commission, we had a group of residents. We had Condon Properties wanted to for the town to release some properties that are around their around a tower that that is in Celtic Ridge. And we had a lot of residents come and complain about the tower. One of the things that was mentioned was that the tower is not being used. And it doesn't have any antennas on it at all. It's just standing there. The Condons have requested the tower to be taken down, but they have not had success with the tower company to do that. It was brought to our attention that it was discussed in Plan Commission that we might want the staff to take a look and do more investigation on the tower. One of our requirements on the conditional use, for example, is that they are to give us notice if the property or the tower changes hands. And we've had the property change hands and not, we believe, did not notify us. So if the question is, would you like to request staff to do some investigation behind this tower and see if the conditional use permit is still applicable?
So basically, if the tower isn't being used, it doesn't fall within the confines of the conditional use for one thing. So we need to find out, we have to direct staff to find that out. Doesn't mean we have to do anything at that point, but we need to find that out to begin with. It kind of seems like it's probably not being used, but that's hearsay.
Okay.
And we have to check to see if that not being used, if that allows the board then to determine if the CUP or if the town board would like to do just that.
Questions?
What was some of the documentation here talking about going from 160 feet to 190 feet and then it could be used again? Is that not, did I misread that all?
If the tower was expanded in height,
If the tower was expanded to 190 feet, it could be used again. Is that, I probably read that wrong.
thought it was that there was an option where they could
Oh,
raise it.
Yes. But they have not. And they also have the option to, when the 7 years is up, the next 7 years to extend their agreement.
so the landowner is tied into this company that owns the tower that's on that land.
They have leased to the tower company,
Right.
and the tower company gets to renew that lease in, I think it's either 5 or 7 year increments up to 20 years, 30 years. I know they have one more option left. And the tower company has told them that they're going to, because it costs too much money to take the tower down.
Oh,
Again, hearsay, that's,
sure.
We haven't done any of the investigation.
So would the board be willing to direct staff to look into this?
Sure, why not?
Absolutely.
how much time are we looking to spend on this? Because I guess remembering back to what Mr. Macy said, I think there was gonna be some huge hurdles to some of these points, and we'd have to end up taking action on behalf of the town against WTA, I think it was.
We don't know who owns it right now.
Right. He said it would probably end up in a long legal battle.
I think our first step is just to investigate if that. We're not saying we're gonna go that far. We're just gonna
Bless you.
investigate if the CUP is in order, does it, how it's being, the tower is being used at this time, does it conform to the conditional use permit? But how much time that will take, I can't give you that. Are you talking about limiting the amount of time that the cost of what it might be for the attorney fees?
Right, I could see this consuming a lot of staff time that maybe we would allocate somewhere else, or lawyer fees. From remembering back to the planning commission, Mr. Macy said it could be a big ball of yarn.
It's just, we thought the idea was to get started, look at it, how we can do it without our paid consultant, if you'd like, if you want staff to look into it.
Because really, all you're doing is looking for the answer of whether the town board can revoke the CUP. I mean, that's all you're doing.
Yeah.
And why
That-
do you have to call, Macy? On this, at this point?
I think
Mr. Macy weighed in on it at the planning commission way back in the summer. And that was just where I was drawing my questions from. He made it sound like it was gonna be quite the,
I think there's a process that needs to be taken.
right.
But the first process is to find out if they are following their CUP or not. If they are, we have to have actual reasons to terminate.
Well, I
If
think
they
we
have not been.
We have to know who owns it. Right? I mean, you can't find anything out if nobody knows who owns it.
Right.
I think you guys should, I think staff, not you guys, sorry. I think that staff should look into it and just see who owns it and what they're doing with it.
Mhm. Just the basics on that.
We don't have to automatically jump into legal action
Right.
right off the
No.
bat.
We'll bring it up back before we get anything like that, just
Right.
doing the investigation.
I mean, if it comes back and it's pretty clear that they're in violation, I can't see them deciding to fight it. I mean, maybe, but they might decide to put an antenna up on it at that point, I guess, but
That might be. But if they have been, if that's one of the sticky points is that we don't know if that's the CUP, if the tower is there, is the CUP in, does that satisfy the CUP? Or does a antenna have to be on there to satisfy the CUP? And if it needs an antenna, and they haven't had an antenna for X amount of years, we only need 1 year to not be to be able to terminate. So,
any other questions? I'd make the motion then to direct staff to check the status of the American Tower Corp's condition. It's not checking the conditional use permit, but I guess checking compliance with the conditional use permit.
Mhm. My second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
No,
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item C, discussion and necessary action regarding resolution 2021-18 regarding signing authority.
So on Wednesday, we're going to be closing our property with Polyak. One of the things that the title company is requesting is a resolution that states that Joe and Elisa would sign have the signing authority for the properties in these. Or business parties.
Basically Do you want me to sign for it?
Sure, why not? I'd rather,
We don't have anything like this.
We didn't have, no, we don't.
I looked through, I think 30 some odd years worth.
Hmm.
And there was nothing like it.
So this wouldn't be just limited to this one property, right? This
Right.
would be
Any
normal.
We had
for-
done it individually for properties in the past.
But we
There was
can
never an
blanket,
all-encompassing one.
So we don't have to do it every time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this one was drafted to appoint whoever the clerk is and whoever the chair is as the signers for real property transactions.
yes. Perfect.
So the board wouldn't have to vote to convey that? That's what I'm reading?
Well, you would vote right now to convey that.
No, I'm saying in the future. I'm not saying
They would
Joe would do
have
it, but Joe's not gonna be here forever.
So the town
We
hall
would
tomorrow.
still bring things to you to
We,
sell town property. You've already
Yes.
made,
we can't sell it anyway. We need the electric.
So we have the.
Yeah, so I mean, it's, the electorate has to,
So this
do
is
it
just
anyway.
signing authority. This
Right.
doesn't give them selling authority. It just allows them to sign the.
once the
closing
electorate is
documents.
voted and authorized the sale of such
Yes.
property and land and such, and this goes away when we become a village. I think everything changes at that point again. So this will be
That's
short-lived.
It does.
Or we can take it case by case each time.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2021-18 regarding signing authority.
Is there a second
I second.
discussion?
I just have one question for staff. Was this vetted by the attorney?
it was not. The two whereas clauses were taken directly from the state statutes.
Can we get this to? I mean, these things I've like checked. I don't know if the board, like, you have to make the decision, but I'd like all this stuff run by the
Okay.
attorney.
Sure.
Sure, hold
They need to
on.
have a land sale
Mhm.
So you can.
change because we didn't do something right. I'm not saying it isn't right, but
What about Wednesday's closing then?
Well, you can approve it with the.
Condition.
Review from
Right.
the attorney.
Attorney. Okay.
So do you want me to add that to the motion?
Subject to
If that's
attorney
what you'd
review.
like.
By the attorney, is that it?
And I
subject to
second
attorney
that,
approval.
yeah. I second that.
All right. Any other discussion?
If the attorney finds points that are not. I mean, he's just gonna be the advisor. He's not gonna determine whether or not it's something the board should act on. How are we gonna know that?
They could bring it back to us one day.
If he says anything other than A-OK, I would email all of you immediately.
We'd have to have a special meeting before Wednesday. Or we'd have to stop the closing.
Can't we revise it after the fact? After Wednesday, this just gets us to Wednesday. And that's what's important.
You can change it so it's just specific to this one property. So instead of,
But why did you do that?
If there's
I
any
mean, if
concern of
Lindsay
whether,
looks this over and everything is hunky-dory,
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried if there's something in, if Attorney Macy advises staff in opposition to anything that's in here. We approved it, would it have to
but we
come,
approved it on the condition, right?
Subject to attorney review.
Right. So-
right, but if there was any contextual changes to this, we'd have to make them as a board and vote on it.
like, if
Right.
one of the
Right,
statutes
right.
changed or something. If it's not parent 5, it's parent 4, not parent 1C.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not
B.
trying to hold this, but if it doesn't pass, attorney review, there's no provision for it.
Do we include as part of the, I mean, this isn't really in resolution 2021, but I mean, just no matter what, I have signing authority on this particular parcel. We direct, God, how would you?
I mean, it clearly says that we're only giving you signatory stuff to act in behalf of the town board.
Right.
It's not saying that you're going to go make decisions for the town board or you can't do anything that the town board didn't already.
Right, but it's just a matter of, like, let's say there was some kind of error in something on here, like, simple, like, the statute's wrong.
Oh,
Does that nullify the entire thing? Does that then thus nullify the sale?
probably.
And I'm not saying there is, but I didn't.
I wouldn't think so. I don't think this is going to nullify it. The board makes a motion to allow you to sign.
The intent is obviously here.
So
Let's say we just approve it subject to attorney review and deal with it if there's something wrong,
If there's something.
which is
you
unlikely,
can't do it.
but. Okay.
We'll get these reviewed ahead of time. I'm trying to push a lot of stuff out in short periods of time right now. So. So
Right,
we
So
will,
motion has been made and seconded. Intent, everybody understands the intent.
Mhm.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carries 5-0. Item D, discussion and necessary action regarding Pontiac Trucking Developers Agreement.
all right, so in the, this is on Macy's desk for review. But the, what we did was I took the developers agreement from Wyckoff to make sure that that if their increment does not meet the 1.5 million, that there is a way for us to, that obligates the developer to pay the taxes due on the 1.5 million, no matter if their property is worth 500,000 for the next 20 years.
In section 2.1, it talks of consisting of approximately 9,800 square feet. And she had talked about potentially phasing this development though. Is that covered? I don't know if the 9,800 is with the back and the front or just
I
the,
think it's the whole thing, but even if she's phasing it, doesn't matter because she's saying she's going to pay the taxes on 1.5 million.
but it's saying here that developer agrees to construct and complete a commercial building consisting of approximately 9,800 square
That's-
feet.
That's the full building.
Right.
And she is planning on constructing it. It's going to be constructed in 2 phases, but it is going to be constructed.
So what if she doesn't do the back?
She still has to pay the 1.5
Right.
million.
But is she released from doing that extra 9,800? I mean, she got to pay the money either way. I'm sure she
Right.
understands that. Quite honestly, the front's probably worth what this is anyway. But I'm just looking at this. You know, has she already signed off on this or looked at
Yep,
this
her attorneys have looked at this.
and they're good with that?
They're good with that.
Then I got no argument.
Okay.
I gotta say, I have not been able, because we just got this
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
I have not been able to go through this whole thing.
And we don't have the approval of Macy either, unless you said.
Nope, it's on his desk today. I just finished it on Friday.
So do we need to sign it now?
We need to have it the agreement is for the closing, so we can hold the closing, hold it up. and
What
wait for the
happens if
developers
Macy
to-
doesn't agree with this?
They'll work through it.
Okay.
The attorneys and Pam have worked with Macy as well back. But I took the verbiage right out of what you guys approved for Wyckoff.
So it has to be conditioned upon the attorney approval then again, correct? Okay. I make a motion. We accept the Pollock Trucking Development Agreement as written, contingent upon Attorney Macy reviewing it.
Is there a second? Motion made and seconded. Um, I was actually gonna ask right before you made that motion if we could hold this off to the last agenda item, because I'm telling you, I have had no time to look at this. I mean, I worked all the way up until I left to come here, and then
Okay,
I had enough time to do some things and eat and clean up a little bit and come here. So I literally have had,
okay.
I was gonna kind of try to read some of it through in closed session for my, otherwise I just am not gonna vote on it at this moment right now. I can't vote on something I haven't read. But I can read it during the closed session here or up
Okay.
until it.
Then let's just,
Well, we got a motion and a second now. So how do we,
She could,
I
She
rescind
could
my
withdraw.
motion.
I don't know if we can do that though.
I second it.
Can you rescind the motion? Yeah, once you've made it second, don't you have to vote on it?
No,
I rescind it.
I'll rescind mine.
All right. I'd like to just postpone it till the last item here, just to,
So we come out of closed session, is that what you mean?
right. I need all the time I can get to read this.
Okay.
And if I'm alone, that's fine. And everyone, I mean, we can,
I'll second your concern.
okay. Item E, discussion necessary action regarding the Bark River Preserve Development Agreement.
so this is the developers agreement for Bark River for Mike Carrick. This is the new format that Macy has put together and worked with Mike and myself to get what he would like in his developers agreement for the subdivisions. or for plats. So he has reviewed this.
Comments or questions from the board? And with you, Mike?
No, like Kathy said, basically, Attorney Macy kind of wrote this. We took it and we kind of wrote it and then he changed some stuff, so we're okay with this changes. And then the next item for the Pheasant View one, we will do it. We didn't have a chance to get it done before tonight's meeting, so we'll get that done and get it to Kathy, and then you can prove it on next meeting or sometime in January.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this one? Is there a motion on this developers agreement?
I'll make a motion to approve the Bark River Preserve Development Agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
Doug Brown. Any final discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then
No action.
there's no action on item
There's no
F.
action.
All right, move on to item 12, then is closed sessions. Pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, parent 1, parent C, for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more specifically regarding the addendum to the administrator contract, and pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, parent E, for the purpose of deliberating and negotiating the purchase of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive bargaining reasons require a closed session, more specifically regarding the Brian Builders letter of intent and land and stone agreement. Is there a motion to adjourn the closed session?
So moved.
Moonen, is there a second?
Second.
Linda Beal, roll call vote, please.
Chairman Osterman,
Aye.
Supervisor Moonen,
Aye.
Supervisor Beal,
Aye.
Supervisor Brом,
Aye.
Supervisor Plow Tucker.
Closed session at 7:35.
One moment to get everything turned off.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimous. Have Brian Builders, letter of intent. So we were looking to get some clarification. Right. We could-
And that we wanted to put in, that the assessment value is determined by the municipal assessor.
Move for approval of the letter intent with those changes. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Linda. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, and then you'll bring back the plan in stone. That brings us back to the developers agreement for P&A properties. So looking for to approve this contingent upon the attorney review. If no substantial changes are made, it would come back. If no substantial changes are made, it could be approved, stand approved. Otherwise, we'd have to bring it back to the board.
Mhm.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I make that motion. to that effect.
Moved by Linda Beal. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mark Moonen. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 14 is adjournment.
So moved.
Second,
Oh.
no discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are out at 8:52. Mark made it. I seconded.
The addendum